Back to the Future is a film directed by Robert Zemeckis. The film focuses on Marty McFly travelling back in time to 1955 using a DeLorean linked to a flux capacitor built by Dr. Emmett Brown. Marty accidentally stops his parents from meeting, and now he needs to make them fall in love to prevent himself from fading out of reality and never being born. The fact that this is a 35-year-old film is very surprising, and it does not show its age at all. I think it's a very entertaining piece of cinema, to the point that I cannot take my eyes off it even after seeing it multiple times. The cast did an amazing job at playing their roles believably. Christopher Lloyd did a great job of playing a mad scientist with his catchphrase, "Great Scott," and his astonished face when he realises something. This made for a really likeable character. The nerdy, awkward performance from Crispin Glover playing George McFly made me really feel for that character of George, even if he was what they called a peeping Tom. When it comes to the main character, I don't think anyone could have played Marty McFly the way that Michael J. Fox did, and someone did try. Originally the role was played by Eric Stoltz, and a large amount of the movie was shot with him as the main actor. But when viewing the rough cut, Steven Spielberg, along with other crew members, thought that he played the role too seriously for a comedic film, and so decided to reshoot. In hindsight, this was obviously a great decision, but at the time, it was a very risky one because of the financial situation and deadline. However, because of this, it has offered a unique and interesting insight to how a director might change things if they were to reshoot a film, and we can see some of the original clips showing the way that some things were changed and edited together differently. In my opinion, Michael J. Fox was absolutely perfect for the role of Marty McFly. He embodied the character so well, and his acting was amazing, despite even Michael himself thinking that he didn't act very well in the film. He took on so much work when doing this film, as at the time he also had to film Family Ties. He would film for Family Ties in the day and for Back to the Future at night and weekends. Despite the fact that he must have been very tired, he still acted brilliantly throughout, which is partly why Back to the Future is one of my favourite films. Sound design is used throughout the film, for example, the ticking of clocks at the start when Marty enters Doc's house, which builds up attention, and when we see the close-up shots of switches being flicked, which starts a hum, building up to a loud explosion up from the amplifier, introducing us to the protagonist Marty McFly. The score of the film itself is so memorable because of how good it was. It does a lot to add emotion to a number of scenes, while also making the film exciting to watch. The main part of the score is, of course, the theme song. This theme is definitely Alvin Sylvester's most famous theme and is one of the most famous movie themes of all time. It is played throughout all of the Back to the Future films and is used in scenes when something exciting happens, both to the main character and their own theme. Both the main characters have their own themes. Marty's theme is used in the film to symbolise his innocence and wonder, and in my opinion, it is a very unique theme on its own. Doc's theme is a much faster piece of music. It can sometimes seem comedic, but sometimes also seem intense. The music of the film is so varied, and each score is as unique as the next, which is part of what makes Back to the Future such a great piece of film history. I have seen reviews saying Marty McFly's character doesn't have any flaws, and this is something that the film lacks, but I disagree with them because it's touched on that he is afraid of rejection when it comes to his music. Much like his father, George McFly is scared that people won't like his sci-fi stories. However, Marty helps George stand up for himself, which is done in a comedic way when he has to punch Biff Tanner, played by Tom F. Wilson, in the face. This gives him the courage to keep standing up for himself, and Marty is forced to get over his fear when he needs to play for the Enchantment Under the Sea dance so that his parents will get together. Otherwise he will never be born. The whole plot is a wild and comedic journey of self-development for the McFlys, and eventually results in George swapping places with Biff at the end of the film to become the successful one. Due to the film being old, it is limited by the technology and VFX of the 80s, however this still holds up quite well to this day, with the fiery tracks at the beginning when Doc is explaining how the machine works, to somewhat bad but still enjoyable green screen fade away of Marty's hand. Although this film doesn't have any stunning cinematography or make use of any insane editing tricks or filming techniques, I think it really is a perfect film. It still manages to keep the audience engaged without the need of any particular special effects or newer technology. If you can't already tell from this review, it is my all-time favourite film, and if there's someone out there who somehow hasn't seen this, I cannot recommend it enough. It is a fantastic piece of film history that I hope will continue to be watched by many new generations for years to come.